And welcome, everybody. It's great to have you here this afternoon. I'm Ray Andrewson, the Executive Director of the Quinnipiac Chamber of Commerce with the affiliate chamber of the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce. And we welcome you to our webinar today on an important topic, which is retirement savings, personal 401k savings, personal investment in savings. Also as a backstory as it relates to the extension of the MyCTSavings program, the state mandated program for employers who have at least 5 or more employees. So we thank you very much for hosting or being with us here. I'm the host, of course, and we want to welcome our guests who are going to be part of our conversation here today as we talk about this today. So I'd like to bring in Mark Hales from the SBDC here in Connecticut, a business and finance specialist. He's worked a lot of small businesses, minority businesses all around the state of Connecticut, talking about access to capital opportunities, how to grow and thrive and plan for your business as well. He's had more than 25 years in the vineyards of business as an entrepreneur, as a mentor, as also involved across faith-based organizations too in the United States. Across Europe too, and we welcome here today. It's good to have you here, Mark. Welcome to our webinar with the Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce. And we'll need to unmute you a little bit too, if you can just get your microphone working, Mark.
Thank you. Sorry, my internet just crashed for a moment there at the wrong moment. So yes, I'm here, and thank you so much for that introduction, Ray. And it's great to be here today to listen and also to share important information about the work we do at CTSBDC. So a fantastic event. I think it's truly important, and I look forward to being a part of this.
Absolutely. Great. Glad you're here. And Eric Scaranuzzo too. Eric, many of you are familiar with him as well here with our Greater New Haven Chamber of Commerce at events. He's Senior Vice President with Merrill Lynch and a wealth and management advisor. Been doing this for over 2 decades now. Very well established in what he's been doing, working with high net worth individuals, corporations, nonprofit institutions, advising them. Is a certified financial planner, which comes in perfect handy for this discussion we're having here today. Been consulting to not just individuals, but businesses, very active in the Greater New Haven area, including Chamber of Commerce, where he serves on the board of directors in New Haven. Eric, it's great to have you here as well today.
Ray, thank you so much. It's going to be actually my 25th year, all with Merrill Lynch here in New Haven, and been involved with the chamber, obviously, for a good part of that. And, this is a very timely topic and something that I'm sure everybody's going to be interested in.
Absolutely. Thank you. So before we start, just a little bit of ground rules for those of you who are joining us here. We'd love to have your question answers in the chat. Probably about 20-25 minutes into our presentation today, we'll start to answer some of your questions, and we really do welcome general, specific questions as it relates to 401k, retirement savings, different investment vehicles, and what you can do with your business, which Mark will be answering the questions along the lines of business planning. Eric will be talking about investments and how important this is. The U.S. savings rate is dismal. If you look at many people in their 20s and 30s just starting out, they not only don't have a lot of assets that they've accumulated, but many of them are experiencing trouble with debt, education debt, college debt, for starters, inability to put up a down payment for a condominium or a first home, and also having to carry fairly substantial car payments in some cases. So all of those things are conspiring to create a scenario where it's difficult to get the savings established. So the state of Connecticut is offering a program where employers must participate in the program by August 31st. We're not going to get into all the details on how to register and how to facilitate it today. We're just going to talk about the importance of this because we need to get our employees ready for their long-term investment. And you need to, if you have 5 or more employees now, offer this program to everybody here in the state of Connecticut. It is not mandatory, and you do not have to, as an employer, invest. There are no matching funds required. You just have to facilitate the program. So we can answer some of those questions. You do have to facilitate the program. And we encourage you to go on the state website for MyCTSavings.com to learn how, as an employer, you need to do that. Now, if you're an employer or an employee, you can also opt out of the program and offer something different, but you must facilitate the program, not the investment itself. So, Eric, I'm going to start with you. A lot of people who are approaching 50, 60 years of age, you look at the average and even the median retirement accounts that they've put together beyond Social Security. The numbers are a little sobering, aren't they?
Without a doubt. I think it's pretty clear that we are in a retirement savings crisis. When you look at what the average American has set aside for retirement, it's significantly less than what they will probably need. I'm going to throw a couple numbers at you. About 57 million Americans right now don't even have access to a workplace retirement savings plan, which is what's great about MyCTSavings is that, now we're in Connecticut at least, and there's other plans like MyCTSavings throughout the country. People are having access to where they can put money away for retirement. The dollar amount that the shortfall is throughout the country, the entire country, is somewhere around $7 trillion. That comes out of a couple studies that have been done recently. I mean, it is staggering how much shortfall there is across the country in retirement savings. And like you said before, Social Security is there, but it's not enough. And Americans need to save more. In Connecticut, we're talking about 600,000 private sector employees that don't have an employee-sponsored retirement plan. And that's what MyCTSavings is doing. It's solving that problem, right? It's going to give them the opportunity to put some money away for retirement. And that's a great thing.
Yes, absolutely. And Mark Hales, and you've advised so many small businesses around the state of Connecticut, startups, entrepreneurs. They've gone from solopreneurs, 1 employee, up to 5 to 10 employees, and they've grown. One of the things we're seeing now in the workforce is retention is a problem, whether it's hourly wages, benefits, vacation time, so on and so forth. MyCTSavings now, with facilitating this for a small business with 5 or 10 employees, takes away the requirement of the investment from the business owner, but you do have to facilitate this. So at least that's the link for your employees. So in effect, the state is providing for you an employee retirement savings plan. So you can talk a little bit about some of the challenges up to this point that some of our employers have faced because they just can't do matching funds and they can't offer the 401k.
And there is a common theme, I think, with small businesses where the business owner is so much focused on trying to grow the business, right? They're trying to win new sales. They're trying to win new customers. And oftentimes, there's a lot of cost cutting. They're concerned about reducing costs and so forth. And importantly, employers, small business owners tend to not focus on things like W-2 employees. They don't think about, setting aside enough in their budgets and their pricing for these employee costs and for savings and so on. And it's a critical mistake. And one can understand, right, why small businesses really don't want to think about some of these things in an early stage, right? And it's a long-term problem because, you talk about reaching 50, all right, and we have a lot of business owners who are at that kind of age group, and they are struggling. They're saying, well, I've not built profitability over time. I've not really invested properly. They consider a W-2 employee an expense because of the contributions that they have to make, and they tend to work with 1099 employees, right? And so what we're saying here is business owners have to now start thinking about how the business actually cater for their long term, right? When they come to retirement, have they built in sufficient in their budgets? Have they built in sufficient in their prices to ensure that they're maximizing profitability, growing that business? And I'll just say there's 2 things here, Ray, right? One is, business owners should think about an exit strategy. That's fundamental, right? I mean, do you sell, is it a lifestyle business, or will you look at the business as an opportunity to generate some kind of a return if you sell that business. That's number one. And if businesses are not building profitability over time, that becomes a little bit challenging. But business owners, as I said before, must be thinking about their pricing to ensure that they are included in those prices the whole cost, the cost of employees, the cost of all the employee-related costs, so that they are catering adequately for those as the business goes over time. So that's a really critical consideration that business owners must make.
Yeah, well, I think, if you recall, over time, there was a reliance on Social Security. And we know that's certainly not going to be comprehensively, even for large wage earners, the only vehicle to make your retirement secure. That's gone for many decades. Over time, obviously, it's been savings, investment, asset building. And Mark, I know that there's one thing that people have to recall too, that they can participate in MyCTSavings if they're an employer. I mean, that's one thing that is also critical to consider is you can actually sign up yourself.
Correct, right? And I think it's important for employers to consider that, and the provisions which are made are there, as, a lot of folks consider 401ks, right? And here's an opportunity where the government is saying, we're recognizing this as a problem, all right? And we are making it easier for employers to access this particular service. And if employers want to do that, they should consider it, right? Now, I don't think they should treat it as a cost. Oftentimes, employers think, well, this is another layer of cost for my business, right? And you say, well, do I really want to do that? It's going to cost me more. But I think when you look at this from a cost-benefit perspective, right, you are looking at something which is crucial, not just for the employees, but their employees as well. And I think any good employer, right, that values their employees, right, should be thinking about something like MyCTSavings. And I think that's just a fundamental thing. And I think, Ray, happy employees are more productive employees.
Yes.
If an employee sees an employer making the effort to look after them, all right, all of those benefits. And here is one that the government, the state is stepping in and saying, we want to provide assistance. I really would encourage all employers to seriously consider it. If they don't have sufficient information, don't make a kind of assumption. This is just an expense. That's not the way to look at it. Treat it as an investment, both in yourself and your employees. And employees properly looked after are more productive, love working for the employers, like their work environment, and I think will give more to the company over time. And I think you should be able to see that, or may see that, reflected both in terms of the performance of that company and also the productivity of those employees. Happier employees, I always say, lead to better productivity overall.
Absolutely. Well, you think about there's about 600,000 Connecticut workers right now that don't have access to qualified retirement savings account at work. That's over 500,000 of our residents here in Connecticut, a substantial amount. Eric, I want to get back to you about the employer's role in this, of course, and they can't participate, but also the opt-out portion of it too, because you can still offer benefits. I mean, you can do this for your employees. This might be a time to evaluate that, to talk to your business manager, to talk to your accounting. And you've worked with businesses and offered these investment vehicles to employees. Apart from MyCTSavings, maybe you'll opt out of that and you'd want to speak with someone like Eric. You'd want to actually consider a private plan that's separate from the state mandates.
Yeah, right. That's a great point. Obviously we have a little time here, right? The deadline got extended to August 31st. So that's about 3 months before the businesses would have to enroll in the MyCTSavings. So it's a great opportunity to sit down with professionals, whether it's your accountant, a financial advisor like myself that works with retirement plans, and say, what's the best choice for me? Should I set up a 401k? Should I set up a simple IRA or some other type of retirement plan? Or should I go into the MyCTSavings option? Because if you have a 401k or another type of retirement plan, you're not going to be participating in the MyCTSavings, right? You're exempt from it. So that's something that's going to take a little time and a little analysis. And, especially if you're somebody that really wants to retain your employees and give them an additional benefit, there is a cost to setting up a retirement plan, but it's not a huge cost. But to be able to then have a plan in place where you can contribute and give a little something to your employee and help them save and as a way of retaining them as your employee, that is very important. And when you set up a new retirement plan, you may be eligible for tax credits that would help offset that cost, which is a very important thing to know. I mean, obviously, you need to talk to your accountant about that, but the overall cost of managing and running a 401k plan is not astronomical. It's something that could be afforded. What they did was a nice job with the CTSavings is they made it very affordable for businesses that don't have any wiggle room, right? It's very affordable. The cost is really nothing for the plan. There might be a little payroll cost there or time administrative cost, but it's a well set up plan just to give people at least the ability to get through payroll deduction money into, and they did it with a Roth IRA, right? Now, when we talk about 401ks, we got a lot more flexibility. The employer could help the employee contribute and contribute towards the employee. You could do a traditional contribution versus a Roth. There's the difference between the two. The traditional, you save on dollars today. The Roth, you don't. You put the money aside for retirement and you don't pay when you take it out. And a lot of that is, again, sitting down with an expert like myself or your accountant, and maybe both together would make a lot of sense. And, look at your financials, look at your situation, do some analysis. If I did a match for the employees, what would it cost me? It's a deduction, right? Because you're making a contribution to one of your employees. All that takes a little time and a little work, but we have 3 months to get that done. So I wouldn't just jump into the MyCTSavings. I would look at all options and then make the best decision that you can for your employees.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I want to jump off Eric's point there of meeting with an accountant. And as you've worked with small business before, we've seen repeatedly through various programs, not working with your accountant or not working with a business advisor or not having accurate records can be very, very damaging for your business. We saw this during the PPP relief funds, the IDL, even the ARPA money that's been coming as a result of COVID. So taking what we've learned the hard way from COVID and all of the business applications, the program applications, I should say, for profit and not for profit, because this program is also designed for not for profit organizations, have to do a lot of record keeping. So let's talk how we can be better record keepers and plan for events like this in the most responsible and clear way, Mark.
Ray, that is such an important point. If we talk historically about PPP and IDLE and all of those opportunities, right, of 2 years ago, when the government was providing essentially free money to businesses and they required just some fundamentals, what we found that many businesses were simply not prepared. And the truth of the matter is, Ray, many small businesses, but specifically, sorry to say this, many minority businesses, BIPOC business community, were just not ready. And if you examine the root cause for this, right, many businesses simply do their taxes once a year, okay? And if you kind of look at what is actually happening around during tax season, it's a mad scramble to get all this paperwork together and to produce their year-end taxes. Whilst that is important in itself for you to report to the IRS and to the state, what you're missing here is the fundamental piece about how you manage the business. Managing the business is not a once-a-year event. It is a continual process, right? So we talk about bookkeeping as just a basic fundamental. Do you have a bookkeeper? Is someone within the business responsible for that? And if not, there are options available. You can hire outsourced bookkeeping work. And in fact, we teach a number of programs here at SBDC about, managing the business, right? If you're a startup, if you're an operating businesses, and we stress the importance of having a good bookkeeper, all right? We also say that It is not about relying on your tax preparer. A tax preparer is simply that. They just prepare your taxes. You need someone to understand how your business is performing. And how your business is performing is not just a historical event, it's about how you look to the future. So you're looking at projections, you are looking at what your numbers look like. And any good small business is thinking about, well, how do we grow? What are our focuses? You know, where are we wasting money? What are the areas of cost or expenses that we probably can reduce? Okay, so this is about planning. And so done well, done properly, businesses, Ray, are ready. They are ready for capital. They're ready for investors, whether they are looking for equity investors, whether they're looking for venture capitalists to help them grow, whatever the case might be. And so I stress the term readiness and preparedness and planning. All right. Small business needs to get into the habit of planning, looking ahead. What does the next 3 months look like? What does the next 6 months look like? What does the next 12 months look like? And I would go further by saying, what is the next 3 years? Yes, businesses don't like doing that. It's strategic, right? It is saying, well, where do we want to be in the next 3 years? What markets do we want to be in? What products do we want to sell? And that is hard for a lot of businesses where they're limited in terms of resources. And this is where the CTSBDC, the Connecticut Small Business Development Center, with our rich pool of advisors, yes, can really help businesses. We can work alongside your accountant, right? We can work alongside your bookkeeper, but we have tools and mechanisms to help you understand, for example, you know, what are the trends in your business? What are the trends in your industry, right? How are you positioned? Are your costs too high? Are you trending in the wrong way, right? And we help businesses to understand some of those things. And I would encourage, Ray, every business. I know the chambers do that, and we work very closely, as you know, with the chambers, right? And we try to help these businesses grow. But I would say I don't know how many small businesses are on this call, but I would say to you, do reach out to the chambers, the Quinnipiac, New Haven, Great New Haven Chambers of Commerce, and others, and reach out to SBDC, because it is crucial that you are able to plan and manage your business operations, and do not wait until, you know, something is happening. These programs that come out, a new loan program is available. We know that Boost is available in the state right now, the Boost Loan Fund program. And we're seeing a lot of businesses are simply not ready to access a really fantastic program like the Boost Fund program, right? So in summary, I know this is a long response, but I think it's an important response. We want businesses to be ready. It speaks to, if you're going to deal with, financial advisors, they want to see your numbers. They want to understand where you are, what you've done, what is the projections. And these all come together. Business management, readiness, planning, get support. And this is where the CTSBDC can really help small businesses, right?
Yes, and committed. And that's a great point. I think the assistance there is the fact that you are there to work with these smaller businesses who have these questions. And we've heard so repeatedly in the Greater New Haven Chamber and the Quinnipiac Chamber, the struggles with small business. I mean, the capacity and quite transparently, we don't know everything. It's not like we're born with this knowledge. That's why we have specialists in the SBDC to work with you. We encourage you all, by the way, to start asking a few questions. If you have specific questions about the program, MyCTSavings. This is really not about a deep dive into the program, just to give you the generic directive that August 31st, the deadline. Now it's been extended to offer this, which is mandatory for businesses with 5 or more employees. They're really targeting the whole psychological target is the smaller businesses from 5 to 25, as we know that many of the larger scale businesses with 50 or 100 or 200 employees do offer some form, and many times some form of investment savings towards retirement. But for those small businesses going up the ladder and growing, this is your opportunity. Mark Hales can answer some of your specific questions. So throw your questions, if you like, in the Q&A, and we'll answer them as we go along. So I also would like to ask you, Eric, just on backdrop here, we're going to do a little bit of a cul-de-sac question, because you've worked with people as an investment advisor for 25 years now. And one of the things I'm sure in your line of work is surprising is just in terms of not having business preparation, but personal preparation. Finance, just like your work, is personal. So you as a representative of Merrill Lynch, you have to work with people to know what their investment goals are going to be, what their long-term needs would be, and their present needs as well. Families change, health changes. You get to know the person.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, planning obviously is very, very important when it comes to achieving your financial goals. I'm a certified financial planner, CFP. I've been one for over 20 years. I've done retirement planning for individuals for throughout my whole career. And like Mark said, I mean, it's a planning is the most important thing we can do for our business, and retirement planning for individuals is crucial. You really need to know what you need to put aside for retirement, and you need to start early. It used to be, maybe when, 10 years out from retirement, let me do some planning. I think it's even earlier now. I think it's maybe 20 years out, maybe even 25. You really need to sit down with a professional, do the planning, see if you're saving enough for retirement. I mean, there's a lot of assumptions that go into this, but you need a plan. If you're not putting money into your 401k or your IRAs, that's going to be a problem down the road. We can't work forever. We have, typically you got a married couple, they have other goals in life. A lot of that, sometimes children and college planning, but retirement is something that has to take priority. The other thing that I do a lot of, I work with, dozens of businesses that have 401ks, or if they're nonprofits, 403bs. And, I get to sit down with a lot of individuals that are, in their 20s, 30s. And we talk about this, and, I try to remind them, even though retirement is so far off, you can't start early enough putting money aside. The earlier you start, the better off you're going to be. It's something that, is crucial. And I think young people today, they have a lot of challenges. They have, they graduate from college, they might have student loans, and they're looking to save and buy that first house or that first car. And, things are expensive today. We've had a problem with inflation the last couple of years, but you still need to address all these things, and retirement needs to be one of them. I always say it's like filling buckets. I mean, you're not gonna be able to fill all your buckets, but you gotta address them all, whether it's paying off student loans, saving for a house, saving for retirement. You got to try to fill those buckets up, and the sooner start, the better.
Yeah. Well, and also there's the matter of having long range planning with investment savings as well. So if you started putting money aside when you're in your late 20s, which to a lot of people who are trying to take care of the debt that we talked about earlier, whether it be student loans, car debt, housing costs, we know Connecticut is the 8th most challenging state in the union when it comes to rental rates and housing costs here. So we do have a challenge with affordable housing in Connecticut. We all understand that. Never mind what happens in the grocery store with inflation. But if you were able to just start small and watch something grow, you can absorb a 20% downturn like we had in 2008, 2009. Even last year, 2022 was a little bit of a downturn. So you can absorb those bad years because you have a vision for 15, 20, or 25 years, Eric. So talk about the long range planning aspect of this, which is what's going to make this program work, because offering savings for someone in their 20s or 30s as an employee, they can start to grow their nest already, and that's going to withstand that long-term challenge.
Absolutely. I mean, if the first step is to put the money aside for retirement, right? So whether you're funding a 401k, traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, whatever it might be, getting that money there is the first step. The second step is then investing it, right? Because you're going to need growth of those dollars that you put aside for retirement. And if you have a long-term plan there, and typically it involves investing in whether it's mutual funds or ETFs or individual stocks and bonds, whatever it might be, if you invest in high quality investments that over time will increase in value and grow. And, the most common, one that's talked about is obviously the stock market. And people get, when you talk about the stock market, sometimes people get a little nervous because, you have years like what happened last year where it was a down year. But over time, the compounding of investment returns when investing in stocks or mutual funds that invest in stocks is significant. If you compound your money at a 10% rate of return, your money will double essentially every 7 years. It's simple math. And, you got to deal with the volatility of those returns. There's years in the stock market when you lose 20% and you make 20%. But over time, it's going to average out. Historically, stocks have returned low single digit type returns. Bonds a little bit lower than that. And obviously, as you get older, you need a little bit more security and diversification. So you want to balance portfolio stocks and bonds. It's just about being patient and not making emotional decisions and sticking with your plan, right? Staying with the plan that you've made, probably sitting down with a professional and figuring out what I need to do to accomplish my financial goals.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to do the MyCTSavings. You just go online and you can do that as an employer and get that established. And you've got August 31st as your looming deadline over the summer. But Mark, I'm going to go back to the SBDC's assistance. This is a great opportunity, not just to talk about this specific program and how SBDC can connect, sort of be a connecting and a review point for accounting, gathering all the important documents and information. But you actually, I don't want to say you play a part therapist for business owners, but you sort of walk them through some of their challenges. And again, business, just like your investment and your needs, as Eric pointed out, is personal. So let's talk about the personal aspect from some of our business owners. It takes a lot of guts to start a business and get going here in Connecticut. How do you work with people and get to know them from your work at SBDC?
You're right. The role we play it's not just an advisor, right? Because these business owners, they will call. I have clients that will call me any time of day and even. All right, I wouldn't say night necessarily, but even. But what that speaks to something very profound, right? It speaks to a level of trust. It speaks to them trusting your judgment and your input, your wisdom, your experience, and so on. And whilst at CTSBDC, we have a range of services, whether it's bookkeeping, accounting, helping to analyze your, creating a cash flow. We have tools that can help with some of those things, financial analysis, exports and imports, and federal government grants and many other things. So there's a deep resource here at CTSBDC. But the fact of the matter is, the relationship that we have with clients is essentially personal. All right. They trust us to help them to understand their business. They trust us with a lot of information about their business. And sometimes, Ray, it becomes personal too. They talk about their family, they talk about their aspirations, their needs, they talk about challenges. Our job is really to say, how can we make and help you make your business better? How can we ensure that your business is profitable over time? Right? How can we ensure that if you're going down the wrong road, if the operating environment is challenging, it's for us to help those businesses understand. And sometimes, Ray, is really telling them things that they might not want to hear. All right, we need to be honest with businesses. Okay, I dealt with a client today, and I just share this with you as an anecdote. And this morning had a call. And the call was, I had this great idea about a business opportunity. All right. I want to go into the transportation business to transport folks from point A to point B. And I said, well, okay, that's great. Do you have any experience in this area? Not really. Okay. What are you looking for in terms of capital? I need $1 million. Okay, really? Okay. And this is a startup, right? Yes. And what's your FICO score? Just about 600. All right. Now, with those pieces of information, right? I had to tell the client, you're just not ready at this point. Okay. There's a lot of things. Do you have a business plan? No. So there are fundamentals. And the point I'm making is, Ray, is that we have to be, I think, foremost honest with our clients, with our businesses. Okay, we need to bring great information to them, information that is useful, that is relevant, that will help their businesses to grow, but not being afraid, right, or shy to tell them when something is not right, when it's not working. I've had to tell business owners, and somehow you need to be working perhaps on the business. You may have to give up certain things within the business, certain functions or responsibilities which you're not good at. And business owners, small businesses in particular, they have a tendency of they want to be absorbed I should say, the detail and be able to tell business owners that you need to step away from some of those things. And it's hard. They're passionate about their business. They've started it. So, in summary, what I'm saying here, Ray, is that our role at CTSBDC is broad, right? We are both advisors. We have a lot of technical expertise in a number of areas. But at the end of the day, we value the relationship. It's confidential. What is said between a client and an advisor, it is confidential. And we value the fact that we can bring into that relationship all other colleagues that have expertise in other areas. And I think at the end of the day, I think we pride ourselves at CTSBDC in offering great advice and hopefully moving the client forward in a positive direction. And our goal, certainly my goal, I want to see clients build wealth, right? And that speaks to what we're talking about today, but also create opportunities for others in terms of employment. And ultimately, Ray, we want to see Connecticut a better place for people to live, to grow, and to thrive.
Yes. Well, the MyCTSavings program is essentially a benchmark program to create or to secure, I guess, employees and also the businesses. Now, one thing that we want to point out, if you're going to sign up anybody, they have to be with your business employee by 120 days. So effectively about 4 months. So if somebody came to work for you on August 29th, they're not eligible. You don't have to worry about them on August 31st if you're signing them up. And you can sign up today. You don't have to wait till August 31st. And Mark, to your point, don't wait till August 31st. If you're going to do this, sign up and get engaged as soon as you can. That's part of the problem, is procrastination for a lot of businesses, I would imagine, right?
Yes, yes. I call the lastminute.com, right? Lastminute.com is all right. And we need to move away from that. And I know we're very busy and we have lots of other competing priorities, right? But the point of the matter is just take a step back and think about this, not about yourself, but think about the value this brings to your business overall, with employees being looked after, their future being better secured, if you like, right? And what that translates to in your business in terms of productivity. And I think starting straight away, reaching out to your accountant, reaching out to others that can assist you, I think is the start you can right now.
Absolutely. We welcome your comments, by the way. If you have any questions here for Mark and for Eric, put it right here in the chat or in the Q&A. We'll definitely be very, very happy to answer those questions as you go along. And we'll be sharing this, and you can certainly share this webinar too in your networks, because we are recording this for future use too. As we're sort of coming around here and talking a little bit about investment itself, Eric, one of the things that we need to do in this day and age, because of so much uncertainty in the world, is there's political uncertainty, there's technological uncertainty. We're going to have a webinar on AI on Wednesday here at our chamber. We know artificial intelligence is changing things. We have all this disruption. We have social disruption. We have educational disruption. We've had COVID disrupt us. We don't have a crystal ball to know what's going to happen in terms of macro events, but it's your job, obviously, to sit with people and talk with them, again, with the long range idea, understanding that there could be a few bumps in the road. So how do you manage risk with people? How do you get them to understand that there are a lot of things beyond control when it comes to investing?
Yeah, 100%. And I agree with you, especially with news today, social media, politics. Obviously, a big thing going on right now is about the debt ceiling, and some people are very nervous about that. Yeah, we're running up against a deadline. Is the deal going to get done? Is it not going to get done? But I think like things like that are all really just short term in nature, right? Like if you buy a stock or if you invest in a fund of stocks, I mean, it's pretty simple. I mean, if those companies over long periods of time are going to make more money, the value of their stock should go up. That's how it works. And whether they're the politicians are fighting, or there's some geopolitical event happening on the other side of the world, I mean, odds are, in the long-term scheme of things, they're really non-events as far as your investments go. But the investments fluctuate, obviously. You get the we were having an inflation battle last year. If the consumer price index came out a little hot, the stock market would sell off dramatically, maybe a couple hundred points on the Dow. People would get nervous. This is going to happen. But again, that's just a one-day event. Over long periods of time, assets appreciate, whether it's stocks, real estate, metals and oil, and assets appreciate over time. And the one thing you can do to help with the volatility of your portfolio is diversification. I mean, it's we talk about it a lot, obviously, in the financial planning and investment area. You need to have a diversified portfolio of different types of assets, and think long term, and don't worry about the short term volatility. Have the plan and stick with it.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes requires a little discipline. But then again, if you're a small business owner, to be successful, it requires discipline. So it's the same characteristic for somebody establishing a business, servicing their clients' customer needs, and doing everything in an appropriate fashion. I think we've got probably about 7 or 8 minutes here before we wrap things up in this webinar today. And I just want to get sort of, as we sort of get to that finish line, sort of an overview of what you've seen, because you're both very experienced in what you've done. And with a program that's introduced like MyCTSavings that comes along, we know it's mandatory, and we know that we have to offer this to employees. And that's a very excellent thing, because you don't have to put a nickel down on it as a small business owner. But Mark, I'm sure what you know is that if you make working somewhere, and from the employee's perspective, a better place to work, you will grow your business. So let's talk about that mindset when you work with your small business owners, rather than look at their employees as something they need to have, just as if they would have chairs and tables, perhaps. They are investments as well. So talk about this from the perspective of investing and being engaged with this program and employees, and how that is a great return on a small business.
Absolutely. And I think, Ray, we can really introduce the topic of culture, right? And what is the organization and the small business culture, all right? And what are the values, right, within that business environment, within that small business? And I know we use this language and we think, oh, it only relates to large corporate organization, culture, values, and all of those things. But, they apply to small businesses as well. What is the working environment that you want to have for your employees? A conducive environment, an environment of that values talent, that values hard work, that values, commitment, and so on, right? And as a small business, right, as a business owner, you want to ensure that your side of the bargain, this is kind of social contract, right? There's a contract between you and the employee. You want to ensure that you are really doing all you can to ensure that that employee's time at the business is one that is enjoyable, one that where it's healthy, it is appealing, and one that is enjoyable. We see often employees talk about their employers in not very nice terms. It's very derogatory. It's not a place you want to work, and so forth. So getting those things right, getting the culture right, having a stated set of values that everyone subscribes to, an environment that is conducive to work, right, that encourages hard work, that rewards hard work, right, is something that all employers should have. And we talk about what is the net result? What is the outcome of all of this? The outcome is you have increased productivity, number one. But I will also say employees are a valuable resource in terms of innovation, all right, and creativity. And an employee who is committed to their job, to whatever they do within that business, will want to make those things better. All right. The Japanese talk about, I want to make this thing so efficient and so better that my job becomes redundant, right? I want to make it a better place. And so if you think about it in those terms, a highly motivated employee, right, knowing that they're well rewarded in terms of, MyCTSavings, for example, and retirement planning is catered for, being paid well, all right, that's another important factor, right, leads to increased output and productivity, and overall that serves your business well. As a small business owner, you've got to understand you have a rich pool of resources, people who are creative, people who are innovative. They can make a difference to your business if they are motivated and aspirational in that way. And that comes from you treating them well, and they respond in kind to your business to help you grow and be, if you like, a talent, a resource that you can rely on and trust over a long period of time. And that's an important point. We talked about turnover earlier on, right? A business that values employees, and I'm sure, Eric, there are stats on this too, right? They stay longer, they're more committed, they're more motivated. And you can see, there's a trait in successful businesses that speaks to the high level of motivation of employees and their commitment to that employer. And those businesses tend to thrive, they do better over time. And that's what we want to encourage in small businesses, Ray. It's not just a thing for large businesses and HR and talent management. No, it relates to small businesses, and it speaks to one culture, and it speaks to values and really a strong commitment, right, to encouraging strong work ethic with great rewards for those employees.
Yes, and here's an opportunity by offering now for the first time in the state of Connecticut to the employees who do not have a retirement plan, an opportunity to facilitate a retirement plan at a minimum, facilitate a retirement plan through MyCTSavings, or alternately explore the capacity to offer your own plan. And it's also available both ways to the small business owner with MyCTSavings.com. And Eric, your final thoughts too. Mark, thank you for all your contribution in this. And Eric, we have to get saving here. Retirement's coming. We know it's happening. Many of us are not living to just 65 or 70. We can live to 90 now if we do all the right things, God willing. And we need to plan. And I think that's what you've been telling us here is it is time now for businesses to take this very seriously as an opportunity to stabilize their workforce, offer something meaningful, and also plan for their own retirement.
Yeah, Ray, you're absolutely right. People are living longer, and that's one of the problems. I have many clients that are in their 90s now. It's pretty unbelievable. It's an incredible thing. People are retiring a little bit later because of that, because they need to save a little bit more. But, it's very important that we just, get saving more, and we start earlier in life, and we do planning before we think we really need planning. And if you do all those things, you know what, you're going to be okay. When somebody retires, they have expenses, right? And Social Security is obviously covers some of those expenses, but there's that gap there. There's that gap that they have to replace between what their expenses are and what Social Security is. And you got to replace it with retirement savings, either coming out of an IRA or a 401k. And you need to address that problem and save money early on in life to be successful. So I think as far as the CT savings plan is, it's a great opportunity for people to have easy access through their payroll deduction to put money into a Roth IRA. The 3% number that the CT savings uses is probably not enough, but that's the default. I would encourage people, once they start with the CT savings, put that up to 5%, 6%, 7%. The more you could set aside, the better off you're going to be in the long run.
You bet. Great words. Eric, how can anyone get a hold of you over at Merrill Lynch?
Just Google my name. We're at 157 Church Street in New Haven, and it's just call the Merrill Lynch number. My number's on the first one on the website, so reach out, give me a call, and whether it's you need help with individual financial planning, you want me to talk to you about maybe potentially setting up a retirement plan, other than MyCTSavings, like a 401k. I have many clients that work with me in those areas, and I'd be happy to work with you too. So thank you, Ray, for the opportunity today.
Great to have you here, Eric. And Mark, over at SBDC, I know that you do get those late night burn the oil at midnight kind of calls, but how can people get a hold of you and if they have questions and engage in all the benefits of SBDC?
Okay, so thank you again, Ray. So the best way to do this is go to the website. And I'm going to give you the website name. So it's ctsbdc.uconn.edu. I'm going to repeat that. That's ctsbdc.uconn.edu. And I would encourage you just to have a quick look at our website. You can get a sense of the services we provide at CTSBDC, but also you can see the range of advisors there in our bios, and you can certainly look me up. I think I have a great photo on the website, and so do my colleague. We have a great photos there, and there's a process that you can go through. You can sign up for free advice and services. I want to stress that, by the way, Ray, our service is free, okay? And you can sign up on the website, and we have our intake manager who will give you a call and just walk you through the process, okay? So again, thank you, Ray, for this great opportunity. It's a fantastic, I think, session and a topic that's very vitally important to businesses, small businesses right across the state. So it's been a pleasure today.
Absolutely. Thank you both for everything and your contributions. And if you do have questions for your small business or an employee, if who's joining us here today, it's MyCTSavings.com to learn about the program and the requirements. MyCTSavings.com is a lot of information, videos, everything there too. We do have a small business council with our Greater New Haven Chamber, Quinnipiac Chamber of Commerce, that meets monthly for lunches with business topics like this. We hope you can enjoy coming to some of those that we are putting together. Also, more webinars on small business and information that we'll be producing through our chambers in the coming days. You can go to gnhcc.com or quincham.com to learn more about that. Thank you all for being with us here today. Hope you learned good stuff from Mark Hales and Eric Scaranuzzo. Thank you both for being with us, and thank you all for being with us as well.